Welcome to Grey County Life on Rogers TV. I'm one of your hosts, Rhonda Brown.
And I'm Mary J. Muray, and this is your favorite lifestyle magazine show on Rogers TV.
We haven't gotten to say that for a long time. Oh my goodness. It's so nice to be in studio.
Oh, well, it is. And actually, when we're filming from home on Zoom, it just didn't feel right. But it just feels right when we're back in the studio, because this is your favorite lifestyle magazine show.
And we'll have to make mention, the weather is ridiculously beautiful this week while we're shooting. But Mark has informed us that apparently next week, when we're actually airing this program, it's supposed to snow again. So, and I wanted to talk about the fact that gardeners are itching to get out there and rake up their leaves and everything else. But we're told, don't do that. Wait a little bit longer. Let those bugs and buds do what they're doing under the cover of the mulch and everything else that's settled, and try to have some patience.
It's hard.
It's hard.
It's hard.
But if it is snowing next week, we'll certainly, that'll slow things down again.
Oh, well, actually, speaking of next week, which is National Volunteer Week.
Yes.
It is the 16th to the 20th of April, National Volunteer Week. Yeah. And it's a time to acknowledge and celebrate volunteers. And I just have a little blurb, because that's what I do. And I think really what is important is we can't underestimate the value of one person stepping forward to help one person or one organization or one event, because that becomes the power of many hands and good hearts who are coming together to build a stronger community. And this year, the theme for volunteering is volunteering weaves us together. And that just brings this wonderful sense of belonging. And I think that's important. But here at Rogers TV, the very dedicated volunteers that keeps the programming going. And that's because we honor our community. And we show up and we, do the work, and we help out. And that's, of course, we have a lot of fun too, actually, with all the volunteers at Rogers TV. But that's what keeps our programming and our community vibrant, and sharing the knowledge that we do on all of the Rogers TV programming.
Yeah.
And just like the many volunteers in our community, it's a testament to our commitment and to make this a better and a more vibrant community to work and to play and to live. So volunteering weaves us together, but really what it does is just brings out this really strong sense of belonging, and I think that's what is really important in our community. And coming up in our next guest, we're going to be continuing the conversation about volunteering with Holly from Home and Community Support Systems, Grey Bruce. But in the meantime, we have a few minutes just to chat.
And I have to say, when you make that analogy of the weaving together and the sense of community, boy, does it ever. And people don't realize that we're all volunteers at Rogers. Not all of us. We've got some paid individuals, but a lot of us are volunteers. And during the pandemic, it was this weaved together connection of people that kept me sane. Okay, and that's saying a lot. But the connections you make when you're volunteering with other groups and with the people and with the people that you're volunteering for and serving, it is your sense of community, your sense of belonging, and can't say enough about it.
Well, one of the things is the building of friendships. And you and I stepped up to volunteer as hosts for Grey County Life. Otherwise, we would never have met.
Yeah.
and the incredible friendship that has emerged from this opportunity. But we also have to give credit to our very accomplished camera people who are with us in the studio and just always make us look good.
Yes. Now, see, she's going to make me cry. You know, she does that all the time. This is my friend Mary Jane. But yeah, absolutely. It's everybody. It's you know, and I'm sure our community knows. You know, Darlene brought us together and just was an amazing person here at Rogers, and Jeff, who's passed on. You know, it's been a really fantastic 5 years of volunteering with an incredible group of people. Yeah.
Well, I really value the work that we do here. I'm talking about not only all the volunteers, but and all the hosts on the different programs to keep our community informed. So that they know what's going on in all the areas, whether it's something fun or something serious.
Cooking.
Something musical, something good to eat, who knows? but it's really serving our community in such an incredible way. And it's the volunteers that keep Rogers TV going under the direction of Mark Perry, who has kept the station going forever. And of course, Daryl Van Slack, who is now joining us and keeping all the details in place, which is really helpful. So we have to acknowledge everyone who helps out here at Rogers TV.
Yeah, absolutely. And what a group we are, my goodness. And so we're going to have Holly from Home and Community Support Services, Grey Bruce, with us, and really lovely girl, really lovely girl. We will be back after these messages on Grey County Life on Rogers TV.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
It's Volunteer Week, and at Rogers TV, we recognize our volunteers' amazing contributions. While creating compelling local programming, Rogers TV volunteers learn new skills, share their experiences, and through their actions, support each other and build friendships, all while shining a spotlight on our local community. Thank you, Rogers TV volunteers, for your continued engagement.
Are you the type who would keep going or stop? It's not easy to stop when you have an addiction. Legalizing cannabis won't stop addiction. It trivializes its consumption. Let's be vigilant. If you need help, visit portage.ca.
Welcome back to Grey County Life on Rogers TV. I'm one of your hosts, Rhonda Brown. We're in studio. We love it. We love it.
Well,
and we do.
We do. And I'm Mary Jane Muray. And this is like Old Home Week, making ourselves comfortable. But also, when this program airs, it will be National Volunteer Week. and it is a time for a lot of celebrations, and a lot of organizations are making those honorings and acknowledgements to the hard work of their volunteers. And we are so pleased today to have Holly Pavusa.
Yes.
Aha. Okay, and she is a volunteer coordinator for Home and Community Support Services Grey Bruce, and she's going to be talking to us about National Volunteer Week and how they honor their volunteers. So welcome, Holly. And
Thank
so
you.
Pleased to have you.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm really excited. We're celebrating National Volunteer Week, but we're also making it a whole National Volunteer Month because we haven't been able to celebrate our volunteers in person and really recognize them for the past 3 years with COVID. Okay. So we're really trying to highlight and recognize and celebrate throughout the whole month. So we have a lot of really exciting initiatives planned.
Fantastic.
Well, are you going to let us in?
Yes,
on
of course.
some of those initiatives?
Dramatic pause, yes. So, we're highlighting volunteers on social media, so mainly on our Instagram pages and our Facebook pages. Yep. And we're highlighting both our program volunteers, so that's Meals on Wheels, Day Away, Friendly Visiting, Transportation, and also our board members. So we have found that our board members we haven't really put them on our website or whatnot. We really just want to introduce people to our board and kind of who gives our agency direction. So we're highlighting our lovely board members, and we are also hosting some volunteer appreciation events throughout Grey Bruce this month, and the first one is actually in Wyerton today. So yeah, that's really exciting, and we're looking forward to it and awarding our volunteers for 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20, and even 25 years. So we're really looking forward to just seeing all of our volunteers' faces, meeting, and just celebrating together.
Well, that's amazing. Two things I just wanted to point out is one of the things is boards of directors aren't always recognized, and they're the behind the scenes folks who keep the organization well and healthy and rolling.
Yeah.
Because often when we think of volunteers, we think of the hands-on, the people who are showing up day to day to do the work and to get it done.
Yeah.
And so it's lovely that you're taking the time to acknowledge your board members, because having sat on a board in my previous life, I know the time commitment that is required and kind of the behind the scenes folks.
Oh, definitely. It's, meetings and putting heads together and using past experiences and work experiences, life experiences. A lot of our board members, like our other volunteers, have had personal experiences with our agency and their family members or clients. So, really being personally touched by the organization, and then using that passion to kind of guide and steer the agency that makes a difference in their life, and so they realize its impact in other people's lives as well. So we really think it's important to recognize all of our volunteers, so board members included.
And generally, how many volunteers do you have that you're acknowledging now?
Yeah, so we have a lovely team of dedicated volunteers. We have over 500 volunteers.
Wow.
And in the last year alone, our volunteers have volunteered over 100,000 community service hours to the Grey Bruce communities.
Wow. Wow.
So, yeah.
That is huge. When you
It's
think about all the
huge.
different lives that have been touched by your volunteers, that's incredible. Wow.
Yeah, which is all the more reason to put the time and effort into planning these events and meeting our volunteers as well, because there's so many of them. So we're having our events in Wyerton, Port Elgin, Markdale, Hanover, and Owen Sound. So just kind of catch-all places for Grey Bruce, which is huge. And a lot of our staff members are coming as well, so that our staff and our volunteers can really connect. I think that's really huge, because again, in the past 3 years, we haven't had the opportunity for, two big important groups of people to get to know each other a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I talk to Tina all the time, you know, through emails and on the phone with Meals on Wheels, and it would be really nice. You're right, to put a face to that voice, to that name, and have that connection, and know that what you're doing really matters. It's a great idea.
So I'm just going to ask Rhonda a question. How long have you been volunteering with Meals on Wheels?
Gee whiz, well, more than 5 years.
Oh,
Because it's before we started with Rogers.
yeah?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
okay.
think.
So what
Maybe I'm
you
wrong.
have is
Yeah.
a track record of people staying for a long time.
Yeah, that's something we're really proud about. We're very proud of our volunteer retention. I think that it's something that we would like to upkeep as well, and making people know that their work with us is valuable. And it's about, I find personally, I love to build rapport with all of the volunteers that I speak to frequently, and letting the ones that I don't speak to frequently know that I'm there.
Yeah.
I think that having a connection within the agency is really big on making people just feel like they have a place and a spot at the agency. They're not just another number, they're a person, they have a name, a face, and I will, remember their name and face when I see them and chat with them. So I think that's really important.
Yeah.
Well, I think when you're volunteer for a long time with an organization, not only do you build a relationship with the folks that you're helping, but you also, in the broader sense, have a sense of belonging.
Yeah, definitely. I find that a lot of our volunteers in sharing testimonials and stories with me, they let me know that they get satisfaction and fulfillment from just showing up and having whether it's Meals on Wheels and a quick chat with somebody, or showing up to one of our events and meeting old friends that are volunteers, or meeting new friends that are volunteers, and just having that sense of community. And I think as well, all of us really started to understand the importance of community after COVID as well, and just that sense of belonging. And yeah, I've heard a lot of testimonials, and we actually have another one of our initiatives that we've put forth in for our volunteers is to all of our day away programs, which we have 6 throughout Grey Bruce. We have put little printouts that say, "I volunteer because," and we've given volunteers the opportunity, if they feel comfortable doing so, sharing why they volunteer, taking a photo, and then sending it my way so I can post it. And so far we've gotten really amazing feedback, and as you guys have said, a lot of people saying that it's fulfillment, it's community, and just hearing that come straight from the volunteer, it means a lot.
Yeah.
Well, we're certainly starting to get back out and connecting with people on a more comfortable stage kind of thing, or settings, because we're able to gather a little bit more, even though we're 6 feet apart, and doing our job to keep everyone safe. But it's making that face-to-face communication. This is the first time. Rhonda and I have been sitting side by side for months.
Exciting.
And it's lovely to have that. So when your volunteers are now making more of those face-to-face communications with your clients, or I'm not sure if is that what you call them?
Our clients.
Clients.
Yeah.
Lots of different names.
Of course.
And so, or the folks that you serve. And so they're now building that sense of, I'm going out, I'm meeting more people, I'm helping out in the community.
Yeah, and it's also a really great way for people who are new to the community as well to get involved, to meet some friendly faces. I know a good chunk of our recent volunteers, I find a lot of people who moved out to this area during COVID and wanted a little bit more green space and whatnot, they also want community. So a lot of them have reached out, and we have orientations that are sometimes group orientations. So at the get-go, letting people know that there's other new volunteers as well that are starting, and just hoping to build that community from the first interaction.
Yeah.
Well, I know that through COVID, some of the volunteers decided not to return, or they just kind of, decided to stay safe for their own health and well-being. So now are you also recruiting more in order to support all your services?
Yep, so we're always looking for more volunteers. Our services are growing, and they continue to grow, and so we are making efforts to recruit new people in all of our programs so we can support the essential work that we do for the community. And so, yeah, drivers, day away, all of our programs really, we're looking to build up a little bit more, and yeah, just making sure that our services stay as accessible as they are.
Yeah. Well, certainly through acknowledging with these special events, building the incitement and the sense of value and I'm being appreciated. Yeah. So what are you doing for the events?
Yeah, so great question. At the events, we are, it's mingling, it's, again, we have a lot of staff coming and our volunteers, and it's food, we have agency updates as well for people that kind of just want a centralization of knowledge. So they're coming and we're telling them, you know, what our programs look like right now. We're sharing our strategic plan that we've come up with our staff and our volunteers all together. And we are also, as I said, recognizing our volunteers. So we have little gifts to give out to those that have hit important milestones, and a letter in recognition. And so giving them that moment to come up and get their applause and also just thank them. So yeah, it's casual, but we sent out a survey to all of our volunteers just kind of asking what they want. We want their recognition event to serve them. We want it to look how they want it to look. Yeah. And a lot of them just said that they want to get to know staff, and they, you know, they want some agency updates. So we took all that in and gave it back to them.
Well, that's really interesting that they have an invested interest in the agency itself.
Yeah, yeah. I find we really like to build upon that. So with our strategic planning and our summits where we all come together, we send out an invite to all of our volunteers, because from the orientation, we mention that they are more than just unpaid labor. They're a member of our organization. Their voice matters, their opinion matters. They have a set of rights as volunteers to be heard, to have a sense of agency and planning, and in their own experience and in the agency that they work for. So we really like to build up volunteer voices, because they're also the people on our front lines. We don't have as much face-to-face with our clients as our volunteers do. So they're advocates for us. They are, you know, members of the team, and we like to make sure that they know that.
Do you have volunteers on your board of directors as well?
Yeah, so our board of directors is a strictly volunteer position. Yeah. So, and we're always recruiting for our board of directors as well, and we're going to do some social media pushes as well, just letting people know that it is a position that is completely open to them. So we welcome anybody to apply, because again, it's good to just hear from a bunch of different life experiences and backgrounds. So strictly volunteer position, and always looking for more.
It's funny, I don't even, when you said that all of the board members are volunteers, and it's funny, I don't think of board members as volunteers as the same way as I do people, drivers for Meals on Wheels or the day away programs. It's funny, you put them in a different class for some reason in your own mind. So interesting. It's good to have people who serve as a volunteer through those programs to also be on the board, because they're, like you say, they are your front door, your front face of the programs.
Oh, definitely. And our board as well, as you said, you do kind of think of them in a different way. Yeah. So our highlighting of the board, my idea behind it was just kind of humanizing that position and listing their you know, what they've done with their careers and stuff, and what they like to do and why they like to volunteer, and just allowing other volunteers to see themselves in that and know that it is a position that, you know, they could do.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and they've got good information, like you say, because they're face first.
Exactly.
With everything. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, they're certainly the backbone. And we couldn't even imagine what our community would look like if you didn't have those 500 plus volunteers in order to keep your services, which really are essential, because this is an aging community.
Yeah. Yeah, we recognize we could not do or provide our essential services without the dedication and continued support of our volunteers. So we're really we know that well, and again, which is why we want to put so much time and effort into making them know that we really appreciate them and we see them and all the hard work that they do.
Well, I know with National Volunteer Week, we have 24 million volunteers across Canada.
Wow.
And really, if it isn't folks who are stepping up to help one another, sort of that neighbor helping neighbor in all our communities throughout Canada, I just can't imagine what our country would look like. Yeah. And even though this is one organization with 500 volunteers, all the other organizations that we have in our community also require volunteers. And I'm wondering if there's some cross-pollination happening here. Once you volunteer with one organization, are you also volunteering with another?
Well, and to me, it's the idea that you can volunteer 1 hour a month, and you're contributing.
Yeah.
You know, and we all know how busy life gets, and the older community members who need these services aren't really as able to be the volunteers anymore.
Yeah.
But you don't have to make a big, huge time commitment. It can be very small. If that's what you can do, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I personally, I'm always telling people, the joy you get out of it and the connections you make with these people, it really matters. And it helps me as much as it helps the people I'm serving.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. You get just as much out of it. Right, you get that fulfillment, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we will look forward to hearing about new initiatives and how things are going with Home and Community Services Grey Bruce. Yeah. And we really appreciate you coming in, Holly. We will have to have you back.
Definitely. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, we look forward to Volunteer Week.
Well, have a wonderful time at your event in Wyerton and all through Grey Bruce communities.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you so much. We certainly have enjoyed volunteering with Rogers and doing that sort of thing. So we're big on volunteers here for sure.
Yeah.
We'll be back after these messages with more Grey County Life on Rogers TV.
I'm Krista McKee, and I've been volunteering here at Rogers for approximately 5 years. I worked at Grey Sauble Conservation Authority for approximately 34 years, and I was the Community Relations Coordinator. So I had kind of a thumb on the heartbeat of Grey and Bruce County and the jurisdiction that Grey Sauble Conservation Authority had. As a Community Relations Coordinator, I ran a day camp, worked with many community groups in helping them achieve what they were trying to accomplish in the community with environmental projects. I was asked to take part in Wandering Grey Bruce with Rogers TV. It was a new show that was started by Darlene and Mark. And I was really excited to be part of it because I was able to bring what's keen in Grey and Bruce County to the people in their living rooms. Because a lot of people can't get out and see what's in our wonderful counties.
October 5th, 2014, my daughter was hit by a train. She was walking along the sides of the tracks, and it shattered her world.
Welcome back to Grey County Life on Rogers TV. I'm one of your hosts, Rhonda Brown.
And I'm Mary J. Muray, and we have a very special event coming up. And it's one that is really important to our community that has to do with climate change, but also with a twist. because instead of doing a lot of climate change in-depth, what we need to do, the climate change folks have turned it into a really fun special event. And we are welcoming Danuta Velo and Joachim Ostertag, and they're going to tell us all about the Earth Day events that are coming up.
Thanks very much for having us. You want to start?
Okay. We did an event in 2022 on April 23rd, and that was our first event, and at that point there were just 5 people in the organizing committee. So, and what happened was a multifaceted event. We wanted to attract a wide range of ages, multi-generations. Mm-hmm. So we decided to do something like you suggested, is something which is more of a celebration, but at the same time about climate change and raising awareness and getting people to come out and open their minds to exhibitors. So we've got a big climate fair that's part of it, and we have up to 30 exhibitors who have confirmed their attendance. Wow. 6 of those are going to be in a children's area outside, and the other 24, 25, or whatever are going to be in the covered area of the market building, the farmers market building, which is where that will take place. Because we want it to be informational. But we also want kids to have a good time. So we have a face painter outside, we have some kids' activities with puppets outside, and there's a fellow who's bringing his electronic tractor, and some interesting exhibits for the kids, and lots of sidewalk chalk, because last year they decorated the entire plaza, and it was really quite an unexpected and wonderful asset to have all these boxes of chalk, sidewalk chalk. We also have a music and entertainment program that starts at 2 when the marketplace opens. We have to stay out of the way until the Saturday morning markets are done and gone. So that starts at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. And we have an entertainment program that goes from 2 till about 4 with local entertainers, Owen Sound, Saugeen Sound Conspiracy, the Owen Sound Public Laureate Richard Eves Satowski will be doing a reading. Wildflower Dance Arts, which is a local dance troupe, will be performing a few numbers on a stage, what we're going to bring in for them. And then OSING is going to make an appearance, and then there's a pop rock band called Grind, which is another local group which is going to play. At about 4 o'clock, the parade will start, and that is a parade that anyone can join. So it's more of a massing of people, and this is one of the things that I made.
Oh yeah, I see some masks on the screen.
For the parade, yes. And I'm going to play that character with Sheator, who's partnering with us this year in some interactive and street theater, along with the parade, which is going to happen around the same time. At the March Break workshops, a lot of people came to make masks and costumes for the parade. So these people...
This looks like a bull, the second
This
one?
is a beaver.
Oh, yeah. That's a beaver,
Yeah,
and this is
that is a bison.
It's a bison. It's actually, but we'll talk more about it because we had some pre-Earth Day workshops, paper mache workshops. This is one of the products there. And somebody made this bison. Bisons were the first animal, or one of the first animals being extinct in North America, right? So they're really important for our ecosystem. So I haven't met that student who did it, but it's a wonderful creation.
It is.
Yeah. Have I heard correctly that they're trying to bring bison back to the prairies?
Yeah, I think there's some attempts, but I mean, it's how would you do it? Because it's all monoculture of canola and wheat and whatever. Yeah, there's some attempts. Yeah, about Earth Day, the idea is really to get the community together, because when we talk about climate change, we need action. We all talk about it. It's very much in our narrative these days. You hear it on the news, you read everywhere. It creates a lot of anxiety, and nobody knows what to do about it. So it's also isolating, because what do we do with this bad news? So and one thing that we can do is build more stronger communities. One thing also we know is to talk to each other is really important. So what we do right now, talking is important, because climate change actually has to do with our behavior, human behavior, the way we depend on fossil fuel and don't even think about it, and it's continuously promoted, and there are many aspects to that. But the idea of Earth Day is to have a great awareness of the Earth we live on the planet we live on, the only planet we got, the planet we share, and so this is very much about sharing. Danuta talked about the fair, the Earth Day fair, and there are lots of interesting products that people can see, or activities, how we can live with a smaller greenhouse gas emission footprint, which is, there are small steps we all can do. And then you have these activities that you have mentioned, which is really great because it brings us all together. I'm not sure if, I'm sure many people have seen the parade last year, and there's some pictures on there too. It was a really exciting moment because we didn't know how this whole thing would turn out. Yeah, there it is.
That was the feature.
How it would turn out, and there was such momentum, there was so much energy and so much fun, because you also need fun. So when we want to have hope, we have problems, but we need action, and we also need to have fun with each other. I mean, otherwise, why would we live, eh? And that was a great example how we can do that. And so this year we have even more support from and collaboration with other programs and groups and initiatives, as you have mentioned. So, for instance, Marikadong works with us, the Indigenous Friendship Center. And Shirley John, the elder from Sogid, will again do a water ceremony as an opening on the other side of the river. Sorry, the Tom Thompson Art Gallery.
So that starts at 12:45.
Yeah, it starts earlier.
Ahead of the activities at the market.
Okay.
Yeah, and we had some super pre-Earth Day activities and actions. So one thing was the paper mache one, which we have already talked about, and that's where the bison came from. Many call them buffaloes, but they're actually bisons. But we also had a youth climate action conference. A teacher from the area, Hilary Coburn, put this on almost single-handedly. With some community support, and we had 50 students 50 students from schools from Blue Water from around here came, and we had speakers, so community leaders around climate change. So we talked to students 20 minutes each about our own actions, what we can do, where we come from, where we want to go to. And it was a really exciting day. It was so amazing. There was one student I talked to, he couldn't sleep the night before. He was so excited about coming there.
Wow.
And sometimes talked about that there was a student running to the event because he was so excited to hear about it. So that was really great. The students were so attentive. And so in the afternoon, we had workshops where they talked about specific actions that they can take. Doesn't matter if it's small or big or whatever. And so the actions that the students worked on that day will be, or some of them will be exhibited at the library on Earth Day in the morning, starting at 11 o'clock. Exactly, yeah.
And they're going to be on display until 2, so until the market on the other side of the river opens. So we're hoping that a lot of people take advantage to go in and see what these students have done for their community climate action plans.
And this is Saturday, April 22nd?
Yep,
yes.
April 22nd.
Okay.
And that is Earth Day.
And that is Earth Day.
The official Earth Day. Wow. And we had also a poster design contest for students.
Oh, yeah.
In the schools.
Do you want me to hold it?
Yeah,
sure.
That's nice.
And this one was done by Willa from Keppel Sarawak School, and she won it. She won the contest.
Wow.
It's a fantastic design, and we got 50 entries, which we also will show on the 22nd at the library with PowerPoint slideshow.
I think it's ingenious that you're including kids and getting their ideas and making them feel like they're being heard. I think part of the anxiety that our children are suffering from is that what you were speaking to, being told that the climate is in disrepair, we are doomed, we are doomed, we are doomed. And what do they do with that besides build up anxiety and stress? And then, I don't know about other people, but I shut down when I feel like there's nothing I can do. So bringing them into it, that's spectacular. And I'm excited to see what they've got. Their ideas.
I think it's so important. Last summer I had a chat with my 9-year-old grandson, and he was so worried about the water. He was very worried about water and what can we do about water. And really what that conversation I had with him, I had to turn that into a conversation of hope. There are people doing things, there are scientists, there are groups, there are communities. It's okay, you're going to be okay, so let's work on what we can do. And I think, you know, when young children, I was really concerned that my 9-year-old was so stressed about the environment. To see how you have changed it and brought it into including children and their participation and making it fun and relieving some of that stress, because when you take action you feel like you're participating and you're doing something. You're doing an amazing job. I am so grateful.
Yeah, there's this thing to say, problem plus action makes hope.
Yes.
Problem plus inaction makes
despair.
Despair. Right? So that's and kids are really great. Kids don't have all these ambiguities. They see a problem, want to fix it.
Oh yeah.
And they come up with all kinds of ideas. Now, we can work on all levels, right? On our personal levels, on the municipal level, which is really important, and then on all the other government levels. And one thing that came up at Keppel Sarawak in the group that I worked with as part of the Climate Action Youth Conference is to talk to city councillors. So they want to install a sidewalk on one of the streets because they can't walk to school safely, and so they get all driven, and that doesn't really make sense. But to do that, you need to talk to city councillors. So for them to learn how to actually engage politicians on the lowest tier, which is actually a very powerful one, because municipalities can do a lot.
Well, we do know that grassroots action impacts the politicians. Because they do have to listen to their voters, and when the voters, so we know that change can happen when the grassroots become so strong and so powerful that that's when the action changes at the political level.
Yeah. Well,
I would like to mention the art gallery, because they're another one of our partners, and they're in that area with the library and the band shell where in the park where the water ceremony is taking place. They're also going to have their doors open in any case all day, and they have exhibits with ecological themes, and they also have some activities they're going to be giving out. They call it a grab and go package. So I just want to mention that they are also going to be partnering with us in opening their doors to them.
So the first part of the event is at the library at 11.
yes.
Starting at 11 at the library, and then and at the art gallery. People can go to either place in both. And then across the road from there, in the band shell in the park, the water ceremony starts at 12:45 and goes until about 1:30. And so generally it's on the west side of the river until 2 o'clock, when people come over to the east side of the river to the farmers market building for the climate fair and the music, and finishing off with the parade.
I mean, it's really neat to see that other organizations really want to be part of that now. So it kind of slowly becomes bigger. We also have lots of sponsors who sponsor the event, which is really important, because we need to fundraise for it.
Absolutely. Do you want to name some of your
Can
sponsors?
I mention them?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
We have
This is huge.
excellent funding from the Meridian branches of Grey Bruce, and their Good Neighbor program. We have funding from the Community Foundation Grey Bruce for our event, And then our corporate sponsors are Caframo, Scenic Cycle, Elementary Teachers Federation of Ontario, the Harmony Centre, Josie's Fashions in Wyerton, Grey Roots Museum and Archives, Hydrogen Optimized Owen Sound, Cook's Heating and Plumbing, and our presenting sponsor is the Bayshore Broadcasting 3 stations, CFOS, Country 93 and Mix 106.
Yeah. I think it's really important to acknowledge our sponsors because they're the backbone of so many events that we have at our community. Yes. And one of the things that Rhonda and I stress is that because our businesses sponsor so many events, that it's really important that we as consumers support these businesses so that they can support the events. So we have a very strong, committed business community that shows up for all the events in various capacities that we have in our community. It's so good to see that you have very strong support from these businesses.
And it's a buy-in from the businesses.
Oh yeah.
And we chose the businesses that we want to work with, right? So there's a vetting process, right? That you want to work with businesses that are climate friendly.
Yeah.
So these are interesting discussions that we had and that probably many people have, right?
Yes.
Who do we support?
Who we approved.
So this little group of 5 really put a lot of time and effort and thought into how this was going to be. So there's now, are there still just 5 of you?
8.
There's 8 now, so you're growing. So
growing.
The band of 8.
Yeah, and Danuta is the main mover on this.
The most stressed. I'd like to also mention our partnership with the Miigwetgadong Indigenous Friendship Center.
Yes.
They've been a great contributor.
Yeah, they're really great.
Thank you.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So, and we want to make this into an annual event. So we do it this year again, and I'm sure it'll be very exciting, and we'll do it next year again.
Will the students be there at the library to talk about their spectacular?
Yeah, we also hope that they bring their parents, right?
Yep.
So there's a lot of
live.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, we can't wait to see these events and the kids at the Earth Day on Saturday, April the 22nd, 11 a.m. at the library starting, and we will be there.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming today and sharing with us, and we'll have you back for some information about how we can help the environment. Yeah.
And then next year at this time we meet again.
Oh, sounds good.
Good.
We'll be back after these messages for more Grey County Life on Rogers TV.
He's taking up some space, and just a perfect shot.
And we got a tie ball game. Nice low shot, right around.
Online betting is booming. Booyah! Woo! Oh yeah! You could win big! But you could also lose. There is risk with online gambling, and that's a reality nobody's shouting about. Learn about safer play at knowtherisks.ca.
About the place where there's nothing but big trophy pike. I think I found it. And the best thing about this? It's on a budget. I'm Bill Spicer. This is the new Fly Fisher.
What kind of show do you want to see on Rogers TV? What interests you? Log on to rogerstv.com, fill out a show proposal, and tell us about your segment idea. We want to know what you want to see. Rogers TV, only on Rogers.
Welcome back to Grey County Life on Rogers TV for our favorite segment, Adorable Adoptables with Miss Renee. And look who she has brought. Oh my gosh, right after Easter. They are so sweet, Renee.
They're super cute. We hesitate around Easter time, of course, in promoting bunnies. But unfortunately, the animal shelter has not only these 3 looking for homes, but 2 others. So we're kind of in a predicament. We got a bundle of bunnies. So we're here post-Easter, reminding people that bunnies are for life. And when we say that, this is an 8-year commitment. So please don't call me if you're not thinking about an 8-year commitment. But please take some. I mean, think about it, but call me.
Are these super talented because they have their ears crossed?
No, they're crossing their parts, hoping for a home is what they're doing. So these 3 are spayed and neutered bunnies, and I'm going to be honest, I haven't really got that close to them to discover which is which. But I'm going to say it don't matter because they're fixed. They're whatever you want them to be now. These 3 bunnies came to the shelter without a whole lot of history because they were left on our doorstep, which is super sad. But there was a note, which is how we know they're fixed.
Wow.
We also know that they're 1.5 years, and we also know that they're litter trained and compatible with each other. Now, normally when we have bunnies on the show, we have that conversation that goes a little something like, well, bunnies love each other too much, or they hate each other. And normally we do not recommend more than 1 bunny in a household because of those reasons. They either make more bunnies or they kill each other. Sorry, guys. It's the truth. In saying that, when they are spayed and neutered, those hormones leave, they become neutral, and they become friends.
Wow.
So if you perhaps have 3 children and you've been considering 3 pocket pets, this might be an option for you. We'd like to see at least 2 of them go together because it would be so sad to separate them. But at the same time, we don't want them to sit homeless at the animal shelter for months on end waiting for a home. So we will separate them if need be. So far, they're okay with being separated for short periods of time. We've done a little bit of that to sort of start to get them used to the idea of being separated, just in case. Now they are, as far as I know, dwarf rabbits and full grown in size. So seriously, this is super easy.
Oh my goodness.
You've seen some pretty big ones on the show that I've brought in that are giant and that are house rabbits. This is super easy. In saying that their poops are teeny tiny and their food requirements are teeny tiny and they don't smell and they're great. I always recommend bunnies for seniors. You know this, you've heard it. I love them. You know why? Look at how good that bunny's just sitting there and being happy bunny.
Who doesn't want to have something on their pet, on their lap?
On their
just
lap,
to sit and talk to and pet.
Maintenance is better even than a cat because they don't eat meat. The poop is better. It's also those little tiny roly balls. It just sweep up with a dustpan. Right? So I know we always end up talking about poo with bunnies every time.
You know.
The life expectancy of a bunny is about 8 years, so it's not a long term. You're not committing to the next 20 years. There's not a lot of medical needs. You don't need to have any more vetting done, other than maybe like a nail trim, which you could probably do yourself. So. Really not hard. Now, as you can tell, they've been super well handled. Not a whole lot of bunnies, tolerate that. Sorry. They also attended our Bunnies of Fun event at the mall that we had on Saturday, and about 300 children really wanted to touch them, and we didn't let them, which was terrible. I'm the worst person ever. But the bunnies got to see them, got to be exposed to all that noise, and to be honest, they tolerated it really well. We were very careful about bunny feelings, and it was great. So they would be okay in a busy household. People are often worried, oh, I have so many kids, it's so busy. It won't matter in this case. Also, if you had a business and you needed an office buddy, this would be a good choice. They're recommending now therapy animals for the workplace to help change the environment. You're having a rough moment, you bring the bunny out, for example, and play with it for a few minutes, makes you feel a little better, makes the bunny happy. Why the heck not? Call me if you're a business owner looking for an option. They are a good alternative for people who are allergic to cats.
Oh.
Yeah, different dander, different spit, different fur. They can be litter trained. These guys are litter trained. They can wander around your house, wear a harness, and be your cat without being a cat. So certainly lots and lots of options that maybe people have not thought about, which is why we say call me, especially when we're full. Call, please.
We're really, really full.
These three are cohabitating together in an enclosure, so they could certainly, as I said, go together. That enclosure does not get to stay with them in their new home because they didn't have one. We could lend it temporarily while somebody wanted to take bunnies to find a new cage for them would be fine. We can borrow, but we'd be in a position where we'd need it again.
What about the other two bunnies that you have at the shelter?
The other two are lion heads, which are a bigger rabbit than this, not really big, and they have this beautiful mane around their heads. They look like little sticky up hair dust bunny things. Now, those two are not spayed and neutered. They're intact males, as far as I know. They're doing those kind of things, which is why they're not here today. They're doing them kind of bunny things.
We do not need to see that on Rogers
Exactly.
TV.
They are all very good to handle as well, and a good alternative for somebody perhaps considering a bigger rabbit than this. Something free roaming in the home would be ideally better to be bigger unless you're super careful. I would be nervous about having this hopping around my house.
Yeah.
Oh,
you know,
I was
and
going
getting
to ask you
outside.
that about the size.
Yeah, I would be nervous about that. But
and it's probably not a good idea for it to be roaming if you have other pets in the home.
Not unless you're sure.
Yes.
Really sure.
Yeah.
I think this bunny should go home with you. Look at how happy she is there. That's your stressed bunny. You could put her in your little bag and take her everywhere you go.
Salt and pepper.
Exactly. Pull her. I love it. She's naming her. These bunnies did have many names this weekend at our event. The children spent a great deal of time doing that. It was lots of fun. I believe this one is Bunna Truffles Chocolate. This is Mustache Spot Dot and Oreo Cookie something else. Maybe Easter was one of the names for that one. You get the idea. So you could call them whatever you want to. Does a bunny come when it's called? No. Not really, no.
I'm sorry, we have 1 minute. I have to ask about Nova.
Still homeless, which is a real bummer, but she's enjoying her day today, chasing a ball around the yard, so she's having a fine time about it. She's a little harder to adopt because of the dog issue. She doesn't like dogs, so we have to be very careful where she goes. She's had a few interested persons. We're keeping our fingers crossed, or our ears, still with us. Hoping.
Lovely dog.
She's a great dog.
Lovely dog.
Just not a big fan of dogs, which makes
some animals like to be only children.
Exactly, and you know what? She's kind of a princess, so she should be.
Yes,
she really should be.
Thank you, Renee, for bringing these lovely bunnies, and we will see you next week on Grey County Life on Rogers TV. Be back for our adorable adoptables.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
Hello, I'm Liz Dowdswell, Lieutenant Governor of Ontario. In 2008, carbon monoxide, a deadly invisible gas, killed an entire family in our province. That tragedy led to a new law requiring homes with potential CO sources to have alarms. John Gignac's family members passed away that day, and he shares his story to save others.
Please make sure you have working CO alarms in your home. Protect your family today.
It's Volunteer Week, and at Rogers TV, we recognize our volunteers' amazing contributions while creating compelling